Hi guys, welcome to Revolutionary Motion. I'm Kata.
And I'm Clemens, and today we're going to talk you through the stance on the serve. Alright, so first Kata is going to show you how her stance looks when she's taking a normal serve. So go ahead, do that real quick. Okay, alright, so as you can see, she stands with her feet and her toes pointing forward a lot more than what you usually see in most of the players on tour, most of the players in your local leagues, in your clubs and so on. And there's a specific reason behind this. So we choose to keep our feet pointing a little bit more forward for a couple different reasons. Reason number one, you probably watched our video yesterday, or you hopefully did, and there we explained that we wanted Kata to push her hips and her belly a little bit more across the line. Okay, that's very easy to do if your feet are pointing more forward. However, if your feet are pointing more to the side, do that real quick, you can see it's a lot more of a sideways push, which then makes it very difficult to push your hips towards the ball because you would have to rotate everything first. Okay, as I just explained, she would have to rotate her hips in a lot more if she stood more sideways to the line. The problem with that is you do not really want to rotate your hips, you only want to rotate your upper body. If you twist your upper body against your lower body, you create a lot more force and more accuracy. The problem with rotating your lower body as well as the upper body is you're going to lose control a little bit over to the left. So you need to be very accurate with how far do you rotate your lower body, and it doesn't really help you with extra power because all the power gets created by rotating everything and pulling the upper body and the arm last thing. Okay? If the upper body rotates with everything else, you're not really pulling the arm. You're only pulling the arm if everything is in position here. You're creating a lot of tension up here, and then that tension releases into the shot. So to exemplify these few things I just explained to you guys, let's start with the first one. Let's assume I'm standing sideways, almost parallel to the line, and now I'm not trying to rotate my hips into the shot. I would start from back here, and I would try to hit the ball, but I would have to hit it somewhere here because I'm not free to rotate any further because my hip is blocking me. Now the problem with that is I could only serve down the tee. I can't really get it out wide without losing a huge amount of power because I'm restricted in my movement. Now if I, in comparison to that, try to rotate my hips in and stay sideways, parallel to the line, I could now get the ball out to the side, could hit it out wide. The problem with that is because I'm rotating all of this together, I'm losing power because I'm not creating this, you've probably heard that before, like a bow and arrow scenario here. There's not as much tension pulling my arm if I rotate this with my arm. Now if I stand with my feet pointing more forward, let's go to scenario number one. I'm not rotating my hips. If I don't rotate my hips, from here, I can release power out wide and down the tee, which is what we want. If I do rotate my hips in this position, obviously the shot would go way too far to the left. So that's why in our scenario, this specific position is the best case scenario for our specific body types. Now there's one more fine line that you have to draw when deciding if you want to stay a little bit more parallel to the line or if you want to point your feet forward, and that is your back flexibility. If your back is very flexible, standing the way that we do is very good because you can create a lot of tension by still getting very far away from the ball and releasing all of that into the shot. If you're more on the tighter side and your back is not as flexible, you have a bit of a problem if you're not flexible because you can't really take your shoulder back very far, so you won't be able to accelerate your arm as much when you're going into the contact point. So that's why many players in the beginning especially feel like they can create a lot more power if they're standing parallel to the line. Because from there they don't need as much back flexibility, they're already far away from the ball, and now they can rotate in and create power. But once you reach that back flexibility that Kata has and that I have and that most of the pros out there have, you can stand like this, bend yourself back very far, and still create a huge amount of power in your serve without losing accuracy because you're not rotating your hips. You're just pushing your hips forward and up towards the contact point, which is what we talked about in yesterday's video. One last thing I wanted to highlight is that you've probably heard from a lot of coaches to make sure that on overheads as well as serves, you're standing a little bit sideways to the ball. This is a very good point. However, that does not relate to your lower body. It only relates to your upper body. So you could stand like this, turn your shoulders this way, and you would be in a sideways position to the ball, which is exactly what your coach wants from you. That makes the whole thing a lot more stable, again, more accurate like I just described, and makes it easier to get your balls consistently inside the right spots. So just to summarize everything we just talked about, what you should do to get your serve to be better and more consistent and harder is keep your hips pushing forward, twist your upper body against your lower body to create as much tension as you can, and then twist your upper body back, releasing that tension and hitting the ball as hard as you can.
To explain the same things in different words is that the position of the hips when they're pointing forward allows us to push more into the ball, to give the power forward. And the turn, when we turn sideways, allows us to have the rotation that we need to give the speed for the arm. And both of this in combination makes your serve a lot better.
To make sure that everybody understood what we were just explaining, we tried to explain it with two different ways to reach everybody out there, because we understand sometimes it's difficult to understand one specific coach even though he or she says the right things. So we want to make sure that we explain it in two different ways to make sure as many of you as possible understand what we just explained. Thank you for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe and look forward to our next video.